Theodore, thank you so much for the chance to chat with you. I really appreciate it.
Thank
Uh,
you.
oh, Solo is a wonderful film, and you are fantastic in it. It is just a powerful, powerful story.
Thank
Uh,
you.
what excited you to be a part of this project? I know you've worked with Sophie before.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer for me to work with Sophie. She started telling me about the script or the story like 2 or 3 years ago. Um, yeah, more like 3 years ago, like 2 years before we started shooting. Um, and I think I was drawn to well, working with Sophie has always been in the two previous films. It's always been a terrifying commitment. The parts that she offers me are always kind of like um, dizzying in what they force me to to reach, and it's always very exhilarating to work with her and to work on those stories. Um, it's always a real challenge what she makes me do, and it's always been every time it's been kind of an anchoring experience as an actor, where I feel like I'm allowed to reach something new, and I feel myself grow as an actor. So I think that just that in itself was already kind of I knew that this would be a necessity for another extension of myself, which terrified me and excited me a lot. And just Sophie's enthusiasm to the story and the subject and the themes and the world, and the toxic relationship. I mean, all of that was very intriguing and exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it was, and you say this is a bit terrifying. I can only imagine because this is such a raw character with so many emotions at play as his story unfolds. Now, I could be wrong. I thought I'd read from Sophie's perspective, though, that she helps develop these characters with her actors.
Yeah.
I was wondering what that process looked like.
Well, it's been different on every project that we did. This one because I was because she kind of wrote it with me in mind, and we had done two films together. As I said, I was kind of early on there in the process of the script, which meant that I only read very, very early versions before she kind of submitted to institutions for financing and everything. And then, but the real script in like 2 or 3 months before we started shooting, when Felix Maritaud, who plays Oliver, arrived in Montreal. We kind of sat down. I think we started shooting in February. In early December, we started working on the script. The three of us in Sophie's house. She had broken her leg, so she was in prep for the film and she couldn't move. She couldn't do anything. I mean, she did everything, but she couldn't. She was handicapped. Um, so we it was it's strange. It's kind of blurry for me because it's always work from instinct. I'm not a screenwriter, but I think um, when I read something um, that is not finished, I know or I can feel if there's a connection, especially with Sophie. Um, what should be that's not being all and take, but I have an instinct for reading, and I think I can be a good reader. And then we kind of talk with all the three of us on the characters, but also about the script as a whole. It's not just about our characters; it's about the whole film.
Mm.
What story are we telling? What are the themes? What do we want to say? Um, uh, what are the characters representing? What is the relationship? It's a real kind of um, we really go through the script as a whole. Um, and Sophie, and we improvise scenes and we talk about scenes, and then she goes back and she rewrites, and then she comes back and we talk, and it's a big process, and it's very rare for a director to do that kind of process and to allow that. It's not everyone that wants it or that needs it. I think it's really Sophie's kind of method, which is very interesting because it does create a kind of blurry relationship to the characters, because you become part of you pour yourself into them, and you kind of bring them closer to you. So it's not something that you read and you say, okay, I have to reach that. It's something that you read and you say, it's not finished yet. How can we get there? And Sophie is like completely open to that, knowing what she wants, of course, and what feels right. Um, and so the process of creating a character is very strange in that uh, environment, and it's been like that every single time.
Mm.
On Family First, the first feature, uh, it's always about reaching something. In that case, it was like violence and sadism that I felt like I had to understand. Um, in Underground, it was something more very technical and very physical of the aphasia. I don't know what the word is in English. Um, and in this, it was femininity and flamboyance, and um, just also a certain innocence in love and in relationships, I think. But yeah, it's hard for me to remember even what my reaction was to first reading the script, because then it changes so much
Yeah.
that, it evolves so much.
I love hearing about that because it I mean, certainly with any project in any film, when you're invited to be a part of it, you're helping create something, but it really sounds like you're helping evolve your character, evolve Simon into and bring him to life in a special and unique way with her. And I think that's really incredible to hear.
Well, it's what we also have a different relationship. We kind of we have plans to like write together. There's another, we've done three features together. There's another kind of dialogue going on, and a friendship, of course, that's been ongoing for like 7, 8 years. So that also allows us to have a different kind of um, transparency with each other, and also just to really name the things that we want and what moves us, because I've been doing it with her for like almost all my professional life.
Mm. Wow. Wow. That's really amazing. I want to just talking about the film specifically. He's Simon. He's such a great character. And when he's on stage, you see him come to life in a completely unique way. And I was wondering, from your perspective, what do you think is the power of a drag performer as he steps out on stage?
um I think their power is, well, I think it must vary for every single performer.
Mm,
um for Simon, I think it's well, it was kind of that was also some a difficult but very interesting work for me to explore. Well, we did it as a group, all the drag queens together, explore our own femininity,
mm,
and develop it and push it, of course, to like a satirical, almost clownesque level, because on stage there is this element of bigger than uh, nature. Is that a saying in English? Plus grand
yeah,
nature.
yeah.
Anyway.
Force of nature.
Well, yeah, just like bigger, like it's
Yeah.
it's it's big. It's satirical. It's femininity pushed to the extreme, or codes of femininity pushed to the extreme. But there's also, these characters very much value themselves, or kind of feel themselves at their utmost powerful and flamboyant when they are in this extreme, in these extremes, and on the stage. And this this feeling also accompanies them in their civil life, and we had to integrate. Well, I'm going to talk for myself. I had to integrate this femininity also in who he was on his daily life.
Mm,
Um, and the work that was interesting was to uh, deconstruct our my own internalized fear of being feminine or of being this flamboyant and but I had to deconstruct it because I had to be in a place where it felt um it felt like that was where I am at my best,
mm,
because that's where Simon is at his best. And so maybe for drag queens, there is something of that. Then when you are on the stage and you have your face painted and your look on and the song that you want and a crowd looking at you and cheering for you, there is something, of course, empowering, but also where all the an internalized hatred of a man, a feminine man, is just completely abolished, and there's
mm.
a freedom in that moment where that is what is demanded of you, and that is where you are um, um, loved and put on a pedestal because of it, instead of being put down and hated and looked upon. So I'm my experience in drag is very limited. I can't talk
Yeah.
for real drag queens, and but that is what I can say from my experience.
It it's an incredible performance as well.
Thank you.
Um, One of the things I see in Simon too is his relationships slowly break down. Of course, this is key to the film and his journey. But I was wondering, from your perspective, especially as as you and your team and the team were talking about developing this character and the script. At what point do you think a relationship becomes toxic?
I don't. It's. I don't know.
Mm,
Um, I guess that's an answer like a psychologist would be more prone to answer. From my experience or from what I can say, and in those two relationships in the film with with the mother and with Olivier, um, there is something about the lack of security and the not ambivalence, but a very very conditional love relationship in which you are given love, you are given attention, and that love and attention are taken away from you for X, Y, and Z, and 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 then you are what is demanded of you is to perform what allows you to get that love and attention back. Um, and so there is a transformation or uh, an ascension on you and and then a transformation that operates within you to correspond to that idea um, that is reflected of you that should be the one that is loved. There is a version of you, there is something that you have to be, there is something that you have to perform, and there is kind of a better perfect ideal version of you that is right there that this person sees and that this person considers what should be, and you are in a constant race after it. I think that there's an element of that anyway that is probably found in every toxic relationship where you're kind of running after something, running after the love, um, and sometimes you are bombarded by with it, and sometimes it completely escapes you.
uh, Theodore, I really appreciate that. I appreciate your honesty there. Just as we wrap up here, I'm wondering what you hope audiences take away from Solo and Simon's journey.
I think my answer is different now than it was at the beginning with like this press thing. Just because um, Well, it's the story that we tell is very, I think, very universal. It has nothing to do with gender, with the gender identity, with the sexual orientation. It's a difficult love story, and it's a difficult mother-son relationship. It's also a beautiful sister-brother relationship. It's a story also about creativity and liberation through art, but um, I maybe there is a social aspect which I always tend to kind of drift away from because it's not my purpose, but because Sophie isn't here now, I allow myself to kind of take on what she would probably say. That maybe we hope for people who are stuck in toxic relationships or difficult ones are able to recognize themselves in that film and recognize also the patterns that they might be stuck in, and that it does give a sense of a possibility and a sense of possibility towards liberation. Maybe that would be it.
I really appreciate that. Uh, Theodore, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. The film is beautiful, and I wish you the best with it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
Thanks.